Rain hammered against the windshield like 1,000 accusations. But Ethan Miller didn't blink. He sat motionless inside his parked car, engine off, headlights dark, staring at the glowing screen of his phone, as if the truth might change if he refused to breathe. The Track My Partner app showed his wife's location inside their house. The same house she said she left 5 hours ago for a business trip in Chicago. Her pulse softly on the map, steady and cruel. Ethan's lips trembled. He replayed the moment she hugged him at the airport, promising she'd miss him. He wanted to believe her so badly that his chest physically hurt. Every inhale tasted like panic. Every exhale felt like betrayal. He wasn't ready for answers, but fate didn't care. Benaya's heart stopped when a second phone location suddenly appeared. Inside the house with her. Not a neighbor. Not a glitch. Someone else was in his home at 11:47 p.m. Ethan's face drained of color. His fingers went numb around the steering wheel. All the pieces of doubt he'd ignored for months slammed into him at once. Late meetings, sudden business trips, hidden smiles, the scent of unfamiliar cologne on the laundry. He opened the car door slowly, rain instantly drenching his clothes, but he didn't feel the cold. He walked toward the front door like a ghost, breath shaking, mind screaming. His hand reached for the doorknob and stopped. If he turned it, his life might end in 1 second. He wasn't ready to see her in someone else's arms. Cowardice or survival. Even he didn't know he had already chosen. He stumbled back to the car, slamming the door behind it like it was the only shield he had left. His breathing broke into shallow gulps as he watched the second phone icon move. Someone was leaving the house. Ethan locked his eyes on the map, forcing himself to stay quiet, to stay strategic. He made a decision born out of agony. He would not confront Lena. Not yet. If he exploded now, she would lie, twist, and hide. Instead, he pressed the record button and sent a soft, sweet voice note. Hey, love, I miss you. I hope your hotel is comfortable. His smile was fake, his voice warm, but his eyes were dead. As a message sent, he watched the second phone that disappeared down the street. Lena would hear his voice, pretending to be far away, while he watched the betrayal unravel in real time. Ethan Miller's life had always been built on solitude and resilience. Orphaned at a young age, he learned to rely only on himself, coding through nights in a small rented apartment, while classmates enjoyed carefree youth. Every promotion, every raise, every tiny victory was hard-earned, and he wore the scars of struggle like invisible medals. When he met Lena, her warmth felt like a light in his otherwise pragmatic, orderly world. She laughed at his dry jokes, encouraged him to dream beyond spreadsheets, and for a time, love was uncomplicated and pure. But over the past 2 years, that light dimmed. Lena's affection cooled, replaced by critiques masked as concern, his income not ambitious enough, his appearance lazy, his lifestyle mundane. Ethan's once joyful home became a subtle battlefield, where love came wrapped in expectations he could barely meet. Yet, he persisted quietly, believing he could rekindle the bond. Marriage, once a source of laughter and shared dreams, had slowly decayed under the weight of compromise and sacrifice. Ethan financed Lena's MBA, putting her ambitions above his own dream of starting a tech business. Every extra hour of overtime, every side project abandoned, was silently endured so she could flourish. Lena's success, once a shared joy, became a subtle wedge. Compliments replaced by comparisons, encouragement by sharp remarks about ambition and achievement. Ethan masked the pain with gentle smile, desperate to keep their marriage alive. He cooked dinner, cleaned the apartment, planned vacations, and concealed the growing ache in his chest. Behind closed doors, he replayed every memory, every happy moment, clutching to them like fragile glass. He loved Lena more than himself, and the thought of losing her, or discovering betrayal, was unthinkable. Yet, the signs he refused to see began to pile. Invisible yet suffocating, Ethan's best friend Noah noticed the changes first. The sleepless nights, the weight loss, the subtle slump of shoulders that once carried confidence. "You're not yourself," Noah had said over coffee, stirring his cup nervously. But Ethan waved it off, stubborn in emotional denial. To admit something was wrong would be to acknowledge a fear he wasn't ready to confront. That Lena, the woman he loved with every fiber of his being, could betray him. And so he smiled, played the part, and pretended everything was normal. Friends, colleagues, even his reflection in the mirror saw the lie. Yet he clung to hope. The emotional stakes were rising invisibly, like a storm gathering offshore, and we, the audience, are rooting for Ethan, feeling the slow tightening of tension. The dread is intimate. We fear what he refuses to see, knowing the heartbreak that waits Ethan's heart had hardened into a quiet, obsessive vigilance. He began installing hidden cameras in their home while Lena was at work. Each click of the camera a dagger disguised as protection. From his living room chair, he watched her daily routines in muted agony. Lena laughing at a joke during a video call, sipping wine, running her fingers across the bedspread, talking intimately to someone on the other end. Every casual smile felt like a betrayal. Every glance at the screen a mirror of his own impending heartbreak. Sleep became impossible. Ethan justified the invasion of her privacy as the only way to find the truth he desperately needed. Each recording file was a little bomb ticking, each laugh of hers in front of the camera piercing his chest. The love he held collided violently with suspicion, a storm he couldn't escape yet refused to confront openly. The subtle war in their marriage escalated. Lena, sensing his constant scrutiny, began sleeping on the couch, citing Ethan's too clingy behavior. His pleas for closeness fell on cold, indifferent ears, amplifying the silent anguish in him. Best friend Noah watched Ethan deteriorate, pale and gaunt, hair unkempt, and begged him to walk away, to stop feeding a love that was killing him from the inside. But Ethan refused. He couldn't release what he believed might still be saved, or what he feared to confirm. Every message Lena sent, every glance she avoided, became fuel for his silent obsession. Yet beneath the torment, Ethan's determination hardened. He would witness the truth firsthand. His love had transformed into a dangerous patience, one that balanced on a knife's edge, teetering between hope, despair, and an inevitable moment where he might finally break. The final spark arrived under guise of a weekend retreat. Lena told Ethan she needed time alone, ostensibly a solo getaway to recharge, while secretly booking a luxury hotel for two. Ethan, trembling but resolute, booked the room next door under a fake identity, heart pounding in a combination of dread and anticipation. Behind the shared wall, he could hear her laughter, the soft cadence of her voice, and then the unmistakable tone of flirting directed at someone unseen. Pain coiled in his stomach, bile rising, yet he stayed frozen silent, every nerve screaming to storm in. This night would either shatter him entirely or awaken a cold, calculated side he never knew existed. The audience, now entwined with Ethan's fear and heartbreak, teeters with him, wondering if the man who has endured so much will finally erupt and what destruction might follow when the truth comes crashing down. The restaurant's ambient lighting glimmered over polished tables, but Ethan's gaze was locked on a single target. Lena entered, radiant and unaware, weaving past diners to meet the man she believed was her secret lover. Derek, her boss, stood waiting, smirking like a predator with victory. Ethan sat at the bar, fingers wrapped tightly around his glass, heart hammering yet face an unyielding mass of calm. He observed every subtle movement, her laugh, the way she leaned in, the quick brush of lips against Derek's cheek. Every gesture was a dagger twisting in his chest. Yet he remained seated, silent, absorbing the horror in slow motion. The audience feels his tension as the scene stretches, the ordinary restaurant buzzing with unaware patrons, while Ethan's world narrows to a single, devastating truth. The woman he loved was utterly unfaithful, and this was the moment he would reclaim control over the pain. Lena's phone vibrated, shattering the private bubble of her deceit. She glanced, pretending casually. "I'm in my room reading," she lied, voice smooth as silk. Ethan's lips pressed into a thin line. He did not move yet. Slowly, deliberately, he rose and walked toward the table, each step a silent judgment, each heartbeat echoing in his chest like a drum of impending doom. Derek's smirk faded as he sensed the shift, while Lena froze mid-motion, her confident facade cracking. Ethan approached, not yelling, not trembling. His calmness made the silence deafening. He placed a laptop on the table, screen flickering to life with undeniable evidence. Messages Lena had sent to the fake profile, house camera footage showing her private betrayals, hotel receipts confirming the lie. The restaurant felt like it had stopped breathing. Every patron's gaze fixed on the unfolding confrontation, witnessing a man wielding heartbreak as a weapon. Ethan's voice, soft yet piercing, cut through the tension. "I just needed to see how far you would go." The simplicity of the words carried the weight of betrayal, years of sacrifice and cold judgment. Lena's composure shattered instantly. Tears streaked her face as she sank into the chair, begging, apologizing, humiliated before strangers who now witnessed the unraveling of her deception. Derek recoiled, powerless against the silent authority radiating from Ethan. He stood calmly, every muscle relaxed, every gesture controlled, leaving an impression more terrifying than rage, pure emotional dominance. No shouting, no confrontation beyond truth. Yet the impact was seismic. Patrons whispered, some staring, some secretly relieved they weren't the one exposed. Ethan walked out of the restaurant with quiet dignity, leaving Lena crumpled and broken. The scene etched itself into memory. Betrayal laid bare, the quiet power of a man who had loved too much, and the shocking, unforgettable lesson of emotional restraint as the ultimate weapon. Ethan didn't linger in the wreckage of betrayal. He acted. Within days, he filed for divorce, seeking not just emotional closure, but legal restitution for the sacrifices Lena had exploited. The papers were precise, demanding reimbursement for her MBA tuition and a fair share of the house sale, compensation for the years he had invested in supporting her while suppressing his own dreams. Lena, once confident and untouchable, was blindsided. The courtroom became the stage where Ethan reclaimed control over his life. Simultaneously, workplace policies caught up with her. Her affair with Derek violated corporate ethics, and she lost her job. Derek, to protect his career, abandoned her, leaving her isolated, stripped of security, and painfully aware that the life she had tried to steal was crumbling. The universe, in quiet but relentless justice, mirrored the betrayal she had inflicted, reinforcing Ethan's hard-earned victory through patience and integrity. Free from the weight of deceit, Ethan retreated to a modest apartment, small but peaceful, a sanctuary where he could breathe and rebuild. The emptiness of the space was a canvas rather than a void. Noah, steadfast and loyal, helped guide him through the healing process, pushing him toward therapy sessions that slowly untangled years of emotional suppression. The gym became a symbol of physical and mental reconstruction. Every drop of sweat mirrored the shedding of past pain. Ethan allowed himself to grieve, to feel, and to reflect on the choices that had tethered him to a hollow love. Through consistent support, disciplined routine, and self-reflection, he gradually emerged from the shadows of betrayal. Each small victory, whether lifting heavier weights or expressing unspoken feelings in therapy, became a thread stitching him back together, transforming heartbreak into resilience and forging the foundation for a life of self-respect, independence, and renewed purpose. With clarity restored, Ethan finally embraced the dream he had shelved for Lena, launching his own tech startup. In a rented office with a few dedicated employees, he poured energy into coding, innovation, and strategy. Confidence, once eroded by years of emotional compromise, began to surge naturally, fueled by competence and independence rather than validation from another. The startup thrived, small but promising, symbolizing the reclamation of the life he had deferred. Each pitch, every small success, reinforced that his value was intrinsic, not contingent on approval or affection from someone unworthy. Ethan's transformation was complete. A man once silenced by love and loyalty now walked with pride, authenticity, and ambition. No longer haunted by betrayal, he carried scars as reminders but not shackles, and finally, for the first time in years, he looked in the mirror and saw not a broken man, but the version he was always meant to be. 1 year later, sunlight streamed to the floor-to-ceiling windows of Ethan's sleek new office. His startup, once a fragile dream, had become a symbol of resilience and accomplishment. He sat behind a minimalist desk, reviewing project plans, a quiet smile playing on his lips. The room was warm, alive with subtle energy, yet calm, a stark contrast to the chaos of the past year. A courier entered, placing a single envelope on his desk. Ethan hesitated, heart tightening. The return address bore Lena's name. Hand steady, he opened it. Her handwriting was unmistakable, delicate yet earnest. Each word a confession, apologies for betrayal, acknowledgement of her own failures, a desperate question about starting over. He read it calmly, without tremor. The pain lingered but did not consume him. The letter, heavy with what once was, no longer held power over him. Ethan understood that closure did not require engagement. It required acceptance. Ethan slipped the letter into a drawer without replying and left the office, feeling lighter than he had in years. He walked to a nearby park, clutching a cup of coffee, the crisp morning air carrying the scent of dew and blossoms. The sun rose gently, casting golden hues over empty benches and winding paths. He settled on one bench, savoring the quiet, the rhythm of life around him. A stranger hurried past, spilling coffee onto his sleeve in a flustered apology. Ethan's lips curved into a warm, forgiving smile, a simple acknowledgement. It's okay. Mistakes happen. In that moment, there was no lingering bitterness, no desire for revenge, no aching loss, only peace. The years of betrayal, heartbreak, and silent suffering had culminated in this serene balance. The external chaos of the world no longer dictated his emotions. Ethan had cultivated a calm rooted in self-possession, resilience, and forgiveness. The camera lingers on Ethan's eyes, deep and serene, reflecting a journey marked by pain, growth, and ultimate self-realization. His internal monologue whispers softly, almost imperceptibly, "I didn't lose her. I found myself." These words encapsulate years of struggle, the surrender of toxic love, and the reclamation of personal dignity and ambition. Around him, life moves, birds chirping, distant footsteps, the park awakening. Yet Ethan remains grounded, a man fully present in the moment. His face holds no anger, no longing, only the quiet joy of someone who has endured, learned, and healed. The world continues, but he exists fully, unshackled from the past. The soft breeze rustles the pages of a notebook beside him, hinting at new ideas, new beginnings. Fade Out captures not loss, but transformation. A human story closing on the peaceful triumph of resilience, self-love, and unwavering calm.